Welcome to Multiple O's, the spin-off podcast for The O Show. The O Show is hosted by Dr. Oriana Fox, the artist with a PhD in self-disclosure. You hopefully know the spiel by now. If you're interested in candid confessions, creativity, nonconformity, and mental health, you've come to the right place. This, my friends, is Season 2 of this podcast, which explores the crossover between working on the self and working to change the world.
Hello, and welcome back to Multiple O's. I'm your host, Oriana Fox. It's been months since an episode dropped. Maybe I should just leave this unsaid and move forward. Perhaps no one even noticed I was gone. This is the final episode of Season 2 of Multiple O's. Yes, that means we'll be starting on a brand new season, Season 3, in the very next episode. And I promise it won't be a long wait. Exciting stuff. All new guests, all new conversations. Same old fantastic themes. But for now, Season 2's long-awaited finale must air. If you can think back to the beginning of this season, many, many moons ago, so long ago, you most likely don't even remember it, I aired the interview with my brother, Josh Fox, who's a filmmaker, theater maker, environmentalist. So I thought I would bookend the season with the voice of another family member of mine. That is my mother, who used to be the Osho staff psychologist. So I'm going to be sharing with you a conversation she had as the Osho staff psychologist. Part of the reason why the podcast just suddenly vanished into thin air was because my mother sadly passed away. If your mother is still alive, if you're lucky enough to have a living mother that you have had a good relationship with, I really hope that you will call and visit her more often. That is all I'm going to say about that. What's next? Oh yeah, another reason why I have had this long gap in podcasting is because basically I've spent the last year being a full-time academic. Which meant that niggling voice inside my head, that self-inhibiting voice questioning me, are you still an artist? You call yourself an artist? Of course, had to be kept at bay. I'm dying to get back into the proverbial studio. Anyway, on to the topic of this here podcast. And speaking of academia, hold that thought. A very long time ago, like 11 to 12 years ago, I had the pleasure of doing an artist residency alongside one of our beloved live art national treasures. Someone who makes us laugh. Someone who makes us feel a variety of emotions. Someone who's self-taught, having cut their teeth as a wee teenager on the stages of the London club scene, and who more recently has become a yoga instructor. Yes, I'm talking about none other than the fabulous Scottee. Way back when, on that residency, Scottee was struggling with academia-phobia. And, spoiler alert, Scottee was cured with the help of my mother. What better way to honor my mother's memory and to bookend this past year of embracing my inner academic than to air this recording for the final episode of Season 2 of Multiple O's. Without further ado, I give you Scottee on an early special edition of the O Show at Meadow Culture, Southend-on-Sea.
Hi, well, welcome to the O Show, Scottee. It's really great having you on. Could you tell me a little bit more about how you're suffering?
Yeah, lots. Yeah, suffering lots. So my phobia, my fear is academiophobia. So it's the fear of those who are or who exist in universities or those who make academic work.
And, okay. Well, I'm sure other people are suffering from that as well, and if not now, they will be when those fees rise.
Yeah.
Which could put pressure on the NHS. So It's very disconcerting, but what we'd like to do on the show is get you the help you need to prove to the UK that it's possible to cure this. How is it affecting you day to day?
It just means I'm quite nasty and volatile to those who are academic for no apparent reason.
What we're going to do is we're going to introduce Scottee to the O Show's staff psychologist. She is a highly trained psychoanalyst. She's done REBT. She's done hypnotherapy. She's worked with aromatherapists. And she's a trained hypnotist as well. So I think she'll be able to help you. I am, of course, talking about my mother, Angela. She, of course, is in New York right now. But what I want you to do, Scottee, is I want you to go back to upstairs, and I'm going to get one of our technicians to get you on the phone with her via Skype, because I think she can really help you. So if we just bid Scottee farewell temporarily, we're going to check in on him later to see how he's progressing with my mother. So, okay, thank you.
I have a fear of academia.
Okay, you have to tell me a little bit more about how it manifests itself. When you say academia, does that mean when you apply for an application to go to a college, or when you step up the stairs, or what happens?
The last time I went to school was at the age of 14 years old.
Uh-huh.
I haven't been into a college or a university or a school since that day.
Okay.
And I find people who exist in that environment alienating and quite, how do I find them? Yeah, they just kind of seem to irritate me quite a lot. And it can manifest in me being quite angry towards them without any justification. And I think I have a fear of education and people maybe who know more than me.
You mean you were allowed to leave school at the age of 14 in Britain?
No. You have to be 16 in Britain, but I was chucked out for having a boyfriend because I went to a Roman Catholic school.
You were asked to leave?
Yeah.
And then you didn't go to a public school?
No, because my parents couldn't afford to send me to a private school. And so there was social services didn't put us back into education.
So it isn't compulsory that you go to school until 16?
It is, but they didn't replace me because of my sexuality.
Oh, that's a shame. And what did you do with your time during that period of time?
Just volunteered at theatre groups and I did some work placement training, and I read a lot, and I became quite depressed. But then I kind of found theatre and art, and it helped me, I guess, early on express my feelings, and then later in my teens make me realise that it was a career path for me, and I had skills.
And how old are you now?
I am 26.
And you've been in the theatre all that time, since this period of time where you left school?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. Why are you interested in overcoming what you call a phobia?
Because more and more, I suppose, the academic world are noticing my work, and this year especially, I've been working closely with a lot of academics and programs that Oriana's working and producing. And I noticed that I have a distaste for it, where actually I think it's actually a fear of it, and I'm frightened of people who might be more intelligent than I am, or people who are able to belittle me, and maybe I feel that I'm excluded from something that I wanted to have.
Explain that again a little bit more, that you have a fear that now that they want you, you don't want them, or what?
No, that maybe that I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not intelligent enough to exist in those spaces.
Let me just rephrase something. Right now, what you're saying is that basically you're having interactions with the academic world. They're looking at your work. They're respecting you. They want to interchange with you. And they want you to? Are they asking you to perform in their like within a university structure? And you're having resistance to that, or just the idea of it?
just the idea of it, and I suppose it's lots of things where I've been asked to teach in universities this year, and I've been asked to show my work to academics, and maybe to formalise my work and make myself more academic.
How have you responded to those things? Like, for instance, how have you responded to the offer to teach or to show your work? Or have you
in quite a passive-aggressive way, and in a maybe manipulative and nasty way. So I've written a paper about how I feel live art and performance art isn't good enough, and that academics are not great at their job and they don't understand. So yeah, not in a very positive manner.
Okay, and so you haven't actually accepted any offers. Is that it?
I guess I kind of have, but in doing that, I've kind of double-backed and been quite manipulative and a little bit nasty in my response or the work that I've made for them. So my work has been about their institutions being rubbish and their practice not being good.
Okay.
And I don't think that's nice.
Well, that's right up my alley. What I was thinking of as you're talking, this isn't really a phobia. This is deep-seated anger against what has happened to you in being left out of this university structure. And now you've established something on your own without them, and now they're coming after you and saying, hey, you have value. We're seeking you. We want you to come in and join us. Now, you've actually gone in and actually what I was going to say, it sounds like more you need a valid expression for your anger because you're enraged. You're really very, very angry. And so when you've accepted, the fact that you've accepted these offers and gone in and created this art tells me it's not a phobia. Phobia would mean that when you got on the steps of the university, you would just freeze. You would freeze in the process of accepting an application and in responding to an application. In other words, a phobia would stop you from actually doing anything at all with respect to this. You'd be held up in your flat and unable to move. So in this regard, unable to respond to them and do anything at all. But the fact that you've actually responded and done the work in this manner is actually very healthy. Because what you're doing, this is like payback time for you. See, I see this smile on your face.
Well, it's surprise. It's not happiness. I suppose it's surprise.
Yes, no, this is payback time. What you need, what you've been looking for, probably unconsciously all this time, is some sort of validation from the university world, the academic world. And here it comes. It's happening. You're getting it. And what you're really saying to them is you're giving them the middle finger in your performance. You're saying, F you, here I am. I did it without you. And let me tell you what I think of your university. It's shit. And, and that's exactly what's going on. So in many ways, it's a healthy expression of this anger. It's better than getting on top of a roof with a shotgun and doing, a mass killing, which is, I'm sure, what is underneath this. This is a positive, and I would continue to accept those offers. And I would continue to do the work that says, look at me, I've done great, now you want me, and let me tell you what I think of you, This is a positive thing until the point at which you've worked that out in your own system, and you can create, I don't even know if you need to create a different type of work. Certainly academia could use this perspective, the out of the box. You're out of the box, and you're able to, really give them the criticism they need to look at. I'll give you an example. I was with a patient yesterday who told me that she had written a dissertation proposal that did not include European and American art, or literature, rather. She's in literature, comparative literature, and she criticized the department for not having Asian literature, Eastern literature in their programs. And each time she presented this dissertation proposal, they said, you're not supporting the department. And her approach was, I thought that the idea of a dissertation was to create something new, not to do the same old crap. It took her a year to get that dissertation approved, and she's finally going to be defending it this December. So the point is, this is academia. No, we tell you what to think, not you tell us what to think. So now you have the opportunity to tell them what to think and to tell them what to look at. It's not a bad thing. Yeah. Ori, I'm sorry, this is not a phobia. And here's the terrible tragedy of it. How dare they let you out of school at 14 and not provide you with an alternative route, a legitimate alternative route, and also because of your sexual identity. This is terrible. So there's a lot you have to say here in your performance art. That has to be included as well. Yeah. There's lots of pieces that I'm sure that you can construct that open their eyes to their decision and what they did to you.
Yeah. Great. Yes, I knew I was right. Thank you so much.
I just have a question, Mom, for people out there who are feeling insecure in front of academics and don't think they're smart enough. Do you have any advice for those people who feel intimidated and think other people are smarter and that they're not intelligent enough? Any kind of advice for other people who maybe share Scottee's insecurities around that? Do you have any advice for them?
They have to keep fighting those negative thoughts, because the fact is that what those are we're really speaking about me on some level, because when you come from a non-academic home or a non-intellectual background, what you always feel is you don't belong among the smart people. And when you find out that you're just as smart and maybe even smarter than some of those smart people, you have to start to rearrange your thinking pattern around that. You have to start to look at that negative feedback you're giving yourself, shut that voice off, and look at the realities of what you're actually doing. And you really do belong among the smart people. This is a very CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy concepts, to look at the negative thoughts. Mm. Now, to just address your depression for a moment, Scotty, you talked about during those years being very depressed. Of course you were very depressed because you had integrated all that negative feedback, and it became part of your self-talk. I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm not adequate, I'm this, I'm that. All of that. Lucky for you that it became expressed in this wonderful, career that you obviously have established. That doesn't happen for everybody. People just go around feeling that way, and they're underachievers or whatever. They suffer a lot in terms of depression, because that's what depression is. It's the negative self-talk. So that's my advice. I would say you have to assess the reality. You have to integrate into your consciousness all the good things you've done. Like when you get an A, you have to look at that A as, oh, that's really me. Not look at that A and just dismiss it. Whatever way you're getting the positive regard. People who don't feel part of the group or don't feel smart enough just dismiss all the wonderful things they do. They don't identify with them. They don't grab them. They don't hold on to them. That answer your question, Ori?
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
See you later.
Take care.
I wanted to start off by saying my name is Scottee and I'm an academic-phobic. I also am interested in the in-joke this week, because groups of performers make up in-jokes, and I'm also interested in pissing people off. So I present to you a paper by somebody who's non-academic, which is about an in-joke, which will hopefully piss off a group of people. This is my first academic paper, and so I've titled it The Observation of Live Art Practice in 2011 as Seen by the Working Class Protagonist. Live art is the practice of artists who use performance, live or recorded, to communicate their idea. In this paper, I'll endeavour to introduce you to the artist, the practice, and the work. the artist. An artist who creates work with the use of performance is referred to as either a live artist, a performance artist, an interdisciplinary artist, a hybrid artist, a multimedia artist, a video artist, or a PhD student. The use of the word just performer is actively shunned. This not only has connotations of populist work, which are actively opposed, we will explore that a little bit later, but does not contain the crucial word artist. This is key in giving an individual's validation to their vocation. The word artist gives importance, meaning, social status, and access to public funding, which are all key in developing work. Labelling is incredibly important, but equally a troubling part of the artist's role, and a difficulty to refine or condense their practice to one genre is beneficial. These convey the struggle of making the work and the complexities it comes with. For this reason, live or performance art lends well to academics or scholars. Critical behaviour, self-reference, but self-deprecation, which is fictional, indecision, lack of product, incoherence, social engagement or politic, but with an elevated idea of the presence of the aforementioned. An artist from a working class background, low social status or just female can prove to be an asset in informing them in their practice throughout their career. In addition, a performance artist who is more advanced in years is deemed to have more of a politic or a message than their 22-year-old counterpart. This rule does not apply to the higher end of the scale. Artists who are still practising post their 50th year or who are in retirement from performance are elevated to take the title of their choice as performance art family member, i.e. the grandmother of performance art, or this can be known in the sector as a legacy artist. Live art, or performance art as it was known in the early 90s, was invented by a New York practitioner named Penny Arcade. I'll quote from her website, "I invented performance art and I am sorry." Although works existed before her practice, she is widely accepted as the voice and so should not be tackled on this matter. The practice. When creating work, the artist must start with a point of reference. Again, a difficulty in communicating why you've chosen this should be employed, and a lengthy process of scratching, that's to present unfinished work, unformalised ideas to a paying audience under the banner of work in progress or process-based media, is encouraged. Work can be spoken and discussed at length with peers before work is actually developed. This process can go on for many years without product and is known as in development. Work which is more fully formed in content should be referred to as a piece. A combination of pieces may be called a body of work, and a combination of bodies may be termed an arch. A number of arches put together could be called an archive, and a number of archives that are digitalised could be called tedious. This chain gives the work gravitas and pulls focus from its lack of technical ability. Live artists need not learn how to concisely apply a skill or craft. Learning breathing technique or pitching to, let's say, sing an opera. To sing it badly in the piece would be referred to as a strategy or intentional. Studio space is a central tool of the live artist's creativity. Although they do not create physical pieces of work, to have a studio reflects a successful, stable artist who is diverse as well as relevant. The studio should be based in the east of London, and it is advisable each artist has at least one assistant. If it's unfeasible to have an assistant, create a fictional email address to impress other live artists. The work. Work that communicates your relationship with the tampon or nothingness is encouraged. Any subject that could possibly alienate the majority of the audience is good practice. This, in turn, will reflect the artist in a strong position of knowledge, when in reality a minimal amount of structured research, Wikipedia, has taken place. Kicking an audience out of a space, hurting them or preventing them viewing the work is highly advisable and adds texture. The lack of access creates myth. Titling your work untitled or a long title that has nothing to do with the work is also acceptable. This again gives the work an elevated position of content that is weaker. Using verbs like participatory help show your work has layers and is as politically or intellectually complex as it is novel. Reenactment work, in which an artist directly mimics the work of other live artists, dead or alive, good or bad, is acceptable. This process is not seen as copying or stealing, but developmentational or referential. Words like entertaining, showbiz and panache are not a part of a live art's vocabulary, and work of the genre is frowned upon. This work only attracts comments like, "This is rubbish, it belongs on Glee." To create work that engages an audience on a populist level isn't progressive enough for a live artist. Light entertainment and popular entertainment formats are not considered. The work is for the TV generation and basic in content without politic, like feminism. Live art does not exist in a theatre, and theatrical elements are actively opposed. This includes good lighting and the fourth wall. Good work exists in gallery spaces, uses body fluids, and is viewed by other live artists. Work outside of this can be identified as trash performance. Trash performance is a word someone made up for a bunch of people annoyed by all of the above, thus making it formalised like all of the above. Audience size should be modest, even for performance art family members previously mentioned. Work that attracts too much public support is seen as selling out and void of any meaning that may have originally been praised. When comment is given on the lack of theatre, technical ability or aesthetic, a live artist must respond with, "That is what I wanted the piece to communicate." So to conclude, I feel performance doesn't matter. Performance art doesn't save lives, rescue cats from trees or look after the old. Performance, we can hope, only enriches people's lives, which we then think numbs the pain. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation between Scottee and my mom, Angela Fox. A lot of that conversation I remembered really well. I remembered very much Scottee's reaction to my mother's advice, but I didn't remember the mention of getting up on a tower with a gun. I just so can't picture Scottee doing that. What a weird thing. And it just, obviously, that must have been what was, well, sadly, it's what continues to be, pervasive in American culture. Just gun violence is so disturbing. Anyway, it's just so weird that she put it that way. Very American. Anyway, but I do really hope that you got something worthwhile from that conversation, that you take on board that advice, that if you're given a compliment, if you're told you're good at something, that you then incorporate that into your sense of self. And remember that when you're in your self-downing moments, such as the ones I've been in very much recently, the thought of I'm not a real artist because I haven't made art in a year, which is very apropos.
Next time on Multiple O's. Next time.
Because next time on Multiple O's, I'll be sharing a conversation with the artist Felicity Allen, who has coined the term d'oeuvre to describe the paths of artists whose careers, due to the twists and turns of fate, of, for example, caregiving, precarity, being an academic for a year, have not followed a straightforward path. It's something to look forward to next time on Multiple O's. In the meantime, I hope you'll accept yourselves, your lives, and other people. We're all just fallible human beings with less control over our circumstances than we'd like to believe. Ta-ra!